All right, today is Saturday, August the 19th, 2023. This we have a picture of Fulton County, County jail in Georgia, Atlanta. Um, why are we showing this county jail? It's just this really bad jail that has so many bugs and it's kind of decaying or need to be refurbished, and we have a tour with the sheriff of Fulton County Jail in Fulton County, basically. Yeah, and today is very hot outside, and it's a 105, but we kind of cool inside. I think 77 degrees Fahrenheit, so kind of cozy to talk about it. And sorry if we showed some inmate right here, and probably not on the face. Yeah. Anyway, the judge at the Fulton County, Georgia, has indicted Donald Trump to surrender at the county jail, this very jail, no later than Thursday, 23rd August 2023. However, from some news channels, they said Friday is the day, or the day after is the last day. I don't know which to follow, so which sounds a bit confusing. And it has to show up, so he has to show up in jail to the jail door and will be booked by the Fulton County sheriff, this sheriff right there. And these people sleeping or being sick anyway. So that's somebody still moving, not like dead body. So the judge, Fannie Willis, decision is not a political game, but that can be discussed or bargained among political players that impose their value or justification. The resistance has been filled by most of the 18 co-defendants to move it up to the federal court, hoping that the federal court will be subjected to pardon when Trump might be re-elected again as a president again, and will give some pardon or pardon reign to anybody, to every criminal that is friend of his. Like before, he pardoned everybody. This seems to be hopeful looking at this jail and the sheriff. It seems to be hopeful for any citizen who is a lawful county lover, a lawful country lover. We love law, law and order. I say it was written in the Constitution. And it seems at the end, the waiting time for the law to be applied to anybody, including the rich, famous, and president, although Trump has been saying, I can shoot anybody in the middle of a crowd and I will not lose voters, or basically get away with it. This violence behavior gets heightened, talking about shooting somebody, by the right-wing irrational executioners that lurk into finishing what Trump said or wanted to do in an echo chambers that keep ringing in their ears about finishing what Trump desired toward his opponent or whoever he projected as their enemy in their echo chambers. And if the justice system can show how the country absolute power has been divided between executive, judicial, and legislative, or judicative and legislative equally, people can start believing the system or the justice system that lately has been tragically shattered by the most powerful Supreme Court. They're always showing the ugly picture of conservative federalist society extreme evangelist side that has never shied to admit its radical view against at least 85% of public polls or most of American, or voice the super alien view of the moderate American. And worst of all, that they have been hiding the bribe in lavish, super expensive entertainment or house sales, like in the case of Clarence Thomas or Ginny Thomas, and conspire with the rich donors, lobbyists, to favor themselves or their company in their court order. This is according to Respublica, the the media, ProPublica media, and New York Times. So I just quoted for them. So many of us wonder, how could the Supreme Court justice have such an unjust attitude or hurt their own credibility so badly and so obviously and ridiculously, and they just don't care? Or do you? According to Melania Trump, we realize all of a sudden that all of this erosion toward nation building and government from the people by the people mean as an objective to declare some kind of a martial law, and at the end will give them the power of dictatorship, or he wants to be a real dictator with all kind of chaos, because dictator can always be rise up in between chaos. We can draw a straight line from the kind of chaotic life Trump has, and all the trouble with all his trouble with the law, the women, the suppliers that never get paid, or the lawyers that never get paid, the fraudulent university or Trump University, and the tax fraud, the property fraud to the bank, etc. While many of us just don't want to know any of that and want to believe otherwise, or made believe by the repeating words that for a limited comprehension, So for a limited comprehension, people will just keep falling into his prey. We have this herd mentality after falling into a prey trap of simply repeating words that made us believe the unbelievable easily. So we just want to believe something. Why are we allowing this to our belief system? Somehow our brain could not only go over the prey trap horizon, especially if we only like what sounds dope when we are addicted to these dope echo chambers. So many feel that president cannot be held responsible in the court of law, and much more view about president or candidate campaigning for the president should not be indicted, except when it was a woman, or when she was a Democrat, when she was a woman Democrat like Hillary Clinton, who was been labeled as a lock her up person. That is the slogan, or a must-have slogan in every Trump campaign. They keep repeating and screaming, "Lock her up." It's a street justice. So it's a street justice that meant to scare her off, but somehow never worked for Hillary Clinton. She survived the ordeal. Hillary, in a contrast with Donald Trump's, only judged in the media or by the so-called deep state as performed by James Comey. So James Comey performed this, and what his reward? He got fired. Poor James Comey. He made Hillary Clinton fail to be president of the United States, but he got fired anyway. He think he's cool. So regarding her personal, this is regarding her personal email and non-classified email to her safe personal email site that was backed by her personal servers at her safe house guarded by the Secret Service that guard her husband 24/7 as an ex-president of the United States. We can imagine how complicated and brave this Fulton County DA, Fannie Willis, and how smart she is in rounding up and arranging all the puzzle of conspiracy to be matching and apply the RICO law that was made by, sorry to say, Rudy Giuliani, who made this law possible in New York, now backfired to him in this never-ending trial and error from the Congress. It was like such a trial by the Congress for so long until the Florida secret government stealing case that seems not gonna fly because the judge was appointed by Trump, as so many media call it, kind of collusion. Hopefully this is the end of the road and we can put an end to it according to the law of the land, and punishment must be reflect the grave implication of the crime. And as a nation, we can start rebuilding from this untouchable crime to the rest of the wrongdoing in our political catastrophe that we kind of made it to ourselves. It has been some entertaining material for some nighttime comedy, but it was certainly a misfortune for all the victims of the dictator wannabe, like the Capitol Police that die, or the Georgian election workers that get death threat. Even Fannie Willis is also get death threat by the radicals that wanna finish whatever Trump said. We never got compensation from all of profit that people made out of this chaos, you know. Those victims need some compensation, but they never get it. Most importantly, do we learn anything from our heavy involvement in making this tragedy happen or failing to prevent it? Do we want it to be repeated again in the future, or do we think that putting away the proof safeguard to this pattern? And how do we sense the indicator of such an uprising? Or do we still believe that American democracy is like a recurring experiment with common amnesia? How much does it cost for such a democracy in progress or in the making? And is it necessary? Can we afford to lose some more wasting time, funding, destruction, and unnecessary death for this to occur again? Funding means to fund this chaos, to fund the anti-riots, to fund the judges and the lawyers, and to fund the prison system for any other of afterward. While at the same time, and funding, we can dedicate this into building a better nation. We can fund this to build a better nation instead of funding this unnecessary chaos. And these choices are consequential for our nation livelihood, and we all refuse to see and study. Why we refuse and see and study this chaos? The way we can prevent it from happening, and then put it into a law, and Congress should make it happen, but the Congress is Republican, so it's not possible. And with the same good intention, we all can rise above this irrational dope situation that just be willing to dedicate our time to figure out on how to rise above this stupid division just for the sake of selfish dictator wannabe. He is not our brother, our not nor father, nor uncle, nor grandpa, because although he is so old, who never only think about us ever. He only think about himself. A modern country should not have a cult leader. We need to understand that cultism is a backwardness and not so important about his own well-being. His own well-being, who cares? Let's think about all our common good and not him ever. Think about how much funding were wasted just for him himself alone, selfishly, and nothing about you at all. Nothing. So hopefully this entertaining you, educate you about not to falling again for the same holes all the time. It's like you run and then you know there was a hole in front of you. You just want to keep falling down and experiment again. So American democracy experiment is very, very expensive, and it could cost us the same amount again and again if we want to just move on, not ever think about how to prevent it, not ever to think about making a law that is with the proof for all this chaotic problem or that might arise again with similar or worse chaos that might be. So we should be forward thinking. So we should learn or study or do some more research and do a lot of finding about how much it costs actually and how much it actually can be reallocated into something else that is more useful, that is more making us more eradication of poverty or making us way forward again in technology compared to the rest of the world. Or we could use this loss into a world that is better, so there won't be any Sudan, there won't be any, Sudan chaos, there won't be any Niger chaos, there won't be any Afghanistan chaos. We haven't even learned about Afghanistan. How could we just surrender into Taliban that is so consequential for all the women in Afghanistan? We feel so sorry to women of Afghanistan right now, and democracy is just not working in Afghanistan. Democracy is just not working in Iran, and democracy is absolutely not working in Vietnam. We thought democracy will work in Iraq. All this country that we have ever meddling, actually not good. The only one that success is Korea, South Korea, Japan, and I don't know, the Philippines, probably. Cuba, when we left, it was bad. So it's it's such an experiment that is it really necessary? Is it democracy can be built that way, or there's a better way? Do we really not know the bad and the good and the best? I'm sorry, I have to laugh about it because I have to educate you. So this is educational for all of us. And I also need to learn, so we all to educate ourselves how to get a better democracy. I mean, democracy is about your voice, my voice, everybody's voices that should be count, and it should include everybody. It should not marginalize people. It should not ignore that we're unique, we're awesome. Every individual is matter. So that is the essence of democracy, that you should have a voice, and your voice should also reflect in the government because the government by the people. Thank you.